You are listening to the Life Reclamation Society podcast or videocast on YouTube. This is a podcast that I've created with the intention to share with you and help you to create space in your life by letting go of whatever isn't serving you. So sometimes we're holding on to things that might be the actual thing that is holding us back from being, doing, and having whatever it is that we want in our life. And so my intention is to share my story and thoughts about how we can create space in your life, how we can let some things go, how we can address some of the hard things that maybe you have experienced, and how to reclaim that energy that we've been holding on to or had been storing in those experiences, people, relationships to someone or to something that might be weighing us down, sort of the emotional baggage that we have carried forward. Thank you for being here. I'm your host, Sherry Trentini, and today I wanted to talk about my life cycle when it comes to self-help. Now, what a brilliant gift that's been to the world by people sharing their experiences, sharing their techniques, sharing their stories, and the blossoming of the self-help or self-development movement has been a game changer in a lot of ways. I know for myself, when I began reading different authors and hearing different perspectives on things that I wasn't hearing from my friends or other people, it was an absolute game changer. What I've also experienced, though, too, is that it can be a little bit of a feeling sometimes like the more you read, the quicker you're being consumed by maybe even the quicksand. And that you had the intention of reading a book to learn about something that you're experiencing or looking for a specific technique to help you through something or dealing with something, and suddenly as you're reading this, it's very valuable. You are immersed in the words and in this author. You're very invested in the process, and sometimes you can feel worse and instead of getting immediate relief as you perhaps had intended when you picked up the book. When I think of my first trip to the bookstore with the intention, I'm just going to get her done. I was familiar with the authors. I had watched enough Oprah at that point and had been exposed to a lot of different ideas that I was just going to go to the bookstore and I was going to load up and I was going to come home, read every page, poof, magic, I will be healed. And the best part is that I will have done it myself. Right? I don't need anybody's help. I can do this. I can read the book. I can apply the ideas and I can, do all of these things, and I will not feel the way I'm feeling because I will have helped myself. And it can be a brilliant, intention. That can be a mantra, or that can be an attitude that really, really serves. However, there can be that sort of challenge that now we have uncovered a whole bunch of other things. We went to fix or get the tools to deal with one thing, and now after reading these books, we have maybe a few more things that we didn't know about. But that's okay. We'll just get more books. We'll just read more authors. We'll just watch more Oprah. We'll do all of the things that we can do in order to help ourselves and not ask for help. In my last podcast, I mentioned that at the fairly beginning of the recording that last year, that's one of the things that I did. And I addressed for my elephant in the room is that asking for help is not my superpower. I am a DIY person. And I'm going to apply everything that's in the book. I'm going to do my research and I'm going to do all those things and I'm going to do it myself. And that has been highly effective in some ways, and that has been not disastrous, but certainly the opposite has been true as well. So 4 years ago, in conversation and applying for to join the coaching academy that I attended, I was asked to provide a list of books that I had read, self-development, self-help, all the rest of it. Well, I just, even though I may not physically have the books anymore, that was an easy task for me, and I just kept going and going and going and going, and my list was getting longer and longer and longer and longer. And I was struck by how much I had consumed, how many books I had consumed. And then I got thinking about how many of those books did I pick up to deal with or resolve the same stuff that I had been holding on to. And though at that time I didn't draw, the matrix as to how that all fit together, but that can certainly be the case. However, when you're in the middle of trying to sort this out, or that you are going to take on this challenge full on, that we may not recognize that we are repeating, right? That we are doing the same thing over and over again, reading different books, but we're not getting any different results. So we'll just wait for the next author with a different perspective, with a new tool, and that will help us along the way. And the buying of the books and the reading of the books, and now the reading on the internet and watching the videos and the different media that's available to us, we can be inundated with all this good stuff, all this good information that now it's like a tidal wave, right? Well, which one is going to be the one for me? What is the thing? What is the author? Who is the person that is going to make the big change? At the end of the day, it's me and it's you, right? Sometimes we can read the same content, but the delivery is a little bit different, and then it all makes sense. It all clicks together. So sometimes we have to keep searching. We have to keep open to finding the most perfect teacher for us. So back in the day, I would say in my early 20s, I bought all the classic and the headline self-help books, the Codependent No More, The Dance of Anger, anything that Louise Hay wrote. She was by far my biggest influencer at that time. And as I've gone through the decades, my reading has changed. But now, as I was looking at this in preparation of creating this podcast and video, that some of the content was so much the same. I was hearing the same things. I was hearing similar techniques, but yet it just wasn't clicking because I wasn't at that place where I was truly ready to resolve this stuff, to make peace with it, to let it go. And that was the big difference of last year when I sought out a coach, I sought out a different mentor. I reached out to probably 7 different professionals, and all in sort of different realms, in order to help me continue to keep that energy of wanting to move forward with a lighter load. And they had different ways of helping me and supporting me. And the big thing is that each one of them had that objectivity, right? When you were in it, you can't see it, and I can be telling the story to myself and analyzing it and wanting to do it by myself, the DIY thing. But yet when you have that other person in support, and that other person to hear your story and bear witness to what it is that you're trying to do and what your intention is and how you are wanting help, that can be the big game changer, huge game changer. And every time that I have done that and found that person outside of my immediate circle, so beyond, your close friends and such, that can be the huge, huge shift that you need. Because somebody with fresh ears, someone with a fresh perspective, someone who's not emotionally tied to whether you do something or don't do something, can be the best sounding board and the best resource for you to actually do the work that you need to do. So when I think of one of the biggest struggles that I have encountered through, say, the last 30-ish years of seeking out in the DIY, the self-help and the self-development, I think one of my biggest struggles and blocks has been that, yeah, I've done it enough, right? I've read enough information about this particular issue, so I'm good now. Yeah, I'm good. And then all of a sudden, poof, it shows up again. And then it shows up again, and it shows, okay, I'll go back to the foundation of what I know, and I will read that book again, or I'll find a different resource. And you sort of start to peel back the first layer, or maybe even you peel off 2 or 3 layers, but you really haven't gotten to the core, that you really haven't quite completely released it. And there's just a wee bit of it to hang on. Just like, in my last podcast, I talked about how sometimes the cleaning of your oven racks can be, quite a strenuous task, because it requires so much, elbow grease and attention and tools and different things. And sometimes you have to approach it in a different way, and you can read all the hacks you want, but, nothing beats having to get in there and really get those grimy bits off. Which, after I had shared that sidebar, I had to clean my own oven. However, the gist of that is, you don't know how accomplished you will feel, or how fulfilled you will feel, or how light you will feel until after you've done the work. After, when you're looking at the oven racks and they are sparkly clean, and you're putting them back into the oven, and ding, that's a little bit of a sparkle when they catch the light. You don't fully know what that feeling is going to feel like until the end result, until you've done the work, until you've done the scrubbing and the soaking and the this and the that. And that's the same thing with dealing with those stuck on bits of the stuff that's happened in the past. You have an idea of how different you're going to feel, and the sort of that internal shift, that emotional shift you're going to feel, but you really don't know what that's going to feel like until you actually do the work. So I think one of the biggest blocks is stopping before I was completely done, and or feeling that first layer, yeah, I'm good. Yeah, won't have to go back to do that again. And we sell ourselves short, because we can feel a little bit of lightness, or we can feel a little bit different, or we start approaching things differently. And then we have other experiences that sort of, bring, sort of feed that weed. When you're pulling out a dandelion out of your lawn or out of your garden, if you don't get the roots, then it's going to come back. You might not see that dandelion sprout, or it's not going to be exactly the same size as the one that you just yanked out of your garden. But if we haven't gotten to the root of the problem, then it's going to keep hanging out. It's going to stay there, and until we, dig down and make sure that we've excavated all of that stuff. And so that is my second block that I want to share with you, is that when we know that there is something that has happened, or there is something that we feel about ourselves or other people or our life in general that doesn't feel good, that the idea of having to get our hands dirty and dig down and really see the roots, and really acknowledge that there are things that we need to deal with, and we have to bring it out into the light in order to really deal with it in a proper way, in a full way. And that can be, I think, one of the second blocks. First one is that we do a little bit of work, looks, pretty good, we feel pretty good about it, but we don't actually get to the roots. And that's the second one. The idea, the effort that we know it's going to take, and the tools it's going to take, or the time it's going to take, and all that kind of stuff. It's just easier to stuff it. It's just easier to keep that life experience, that relationship to someone, that relationship to something that doesn't feel good. It's just easier to, put it back into the emotional backpack, into the luggage, into the storage cupboard, into the Rubbermaid, wherever, whatever the visual is of for you. It would be easier for me to adjust how I'm going forward to accommodate the weight that I'm carrying rather than to get my hands dirty, dig in. Let's get this thing out on the table and let's see what things need some resolution and need my attention, because we might be able to store it back into our luggage and we may not feel extra heavy, or we may not feel discomfort from having it there. However, the energy that it takes to carry that around, the energy that it absorbs as we go forward, starts to weigh on us. It starts not to feel good. It starts to affect us in a lot of different ways. And eventually, it's time to, get that scrubbing tools out, get the shovel out, whatever you need, in order for you to truly resolve and truly move forward from whatever that thing is, whatever that belief is, whatever that thought is, whatever that thing is, whatever that relationship is that you are holding on to, that is in fact the thing that's probably and may very well be holding you back from being, doing, and having the life that you want. So as a reclamation project, the relationship with yourself and your life, your past, your present, and your future, it's well worth investing in. You are worth it. And in my experience, I am so grateful that I decided to have done the work that I needed to do in order to feel the way I do in this moment. If you want help with that, let's just have a chat. You can connect with me on my website at www.sherrytrentini.com or on social media. You can find me on both places. And if you have any questions, comments, I'd love to hear about it. Until next time, thanks.